Good morning once again, Your Excellencies Ambassadors, Vice Minister Darius Skusevicius, Chairwoman of Lithuanian Jewish Community, dear invited guests and speakers, dear participants, dear colleagues, welcome to Vilna Gaon State Jewish Museum for the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, or the IHRA as we call it, conference, as mass murder began, identifying and remembering the killing sites of summer-fall 1941. The International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, or IHRA, unites governments and experts to strengthen and advance Holocaust education, remembrance, and research worldwide. The IHRA has 31 member countries, 11 observer countries, and 7 permanent international partners. Lithuania has joined IHRA in 2003, and this is the first conference of the IHRA in the country. The conference has been held thanks to IHRA and Steering Committee of Multi-Year Work Plan on Killing Sites for entrusting us the organization and coordination of the conference. And now I would like to invite the director of Vilna Gaon State Jewish Museum, Markas Zingeris, to say a word of welcome.
I'll rather start informally, since I see many friends here and long colleagues I worked with from the end of the 20th century. And like Christoph Dickmann, like distinguished historians here, diplomats, also Anne Hall, whom I know for many, many years, in different times of modern history. As the head of the Presidential Commission, Faina Kuklansky, Lina, Tom Lutz, everybody from the IHRA, where I worked as a member of delegation. I hope that this is of particular concern also of some countries which are our neighbors, and they feel support of the German embassy and individually from Ambassador Schmitz, Jutta Schmitz, and from a number of from Polish diplomats which are interested in the Ponary site near Vilnius. From the Presidential Commission, which we have a distinguished member here, a chairman, and a distinguished member here, a researcher, Christoph Dickmann, who published an important book, Mass Killing of Lithuanian Jews in Summer and Fall of 1941, and published by the Commission some 10 years ago. And Ronald Strachinskas, it's always a pleasure to see you here. So it's my pleasure and privilege, Your Excellencies, Head of Swiss Delegation, Francois Wisard, Chair of ad interim of Killing Sites, Piotr Trojansky, distinguished members of the panels, colleagues, to welcome you at this first IHRA conference in Lithuania. You have gathered at the premises of the Old Jewish Theater, which is a vibrant branch of Vilna Gaon State Jewish Museum since the first years of independent Lithuania. You are visiting a country where the events of World War II are still having implications for a wider society, where a lot is being done in this field. Also, historians, politicians, and the media are still struggling towards fuller understanding of the enormous scale of Holocaust implemented here by the Nazi Einsatzkommandos and their local henchmen. We have numerous mass murder sites across Lithuania, some established a long time ago, some newly discovered. We have published a Holocaust Atlas of Holocaust in Lithuania, and it was several years ago, and it already needs corrections and supplements because things are moving forward. And the unexpected findings in the year 2016 by our own and international archaeologists at our outreach branch of Ponari or Panerai have turned the attention to Lithuania of the world's media, from the BBC to New York Times, till professional and academical journals, essay Smithsonian's in the US and Karta in Warsaw. Dear friends, I believe Lithuanian experience can be useful also to institutions to the east of this country who deal with their sites of mass murder, as we have concluded here, that the well-known memorial site established after the World War II by the Soviets and used for commemoration and education for more than 70 years needs further probing and re-evaluation. Even in case you have a long-established topography and history of the mass killing site, one needs to carefully research the territory if there is a need to rearrange it or to face the challenges of modern education. And it needs to be done starting with documentary sources and archaeological scanning. In our case, the results were quite surprising, as you will hear in the further deliberations. Dear guests, I hope the first sunray of spring finally will break through the clouds, and scope and quality of presentations during this conference will leave you with impressions worthy of your time. Thank you to the steering committee of IHRA and our team, and I wish you productive deliberations.
Thank you. As we all know, IHRA chairmanship rotates annually on a voluntary basis, and on 7th of March this year, Switzerland took over the chairmanship of the IHRA. And I would like to thank the current head of delegation of Switzerland, Mr. Francois Wisard, for his availability for the conference, and we are really happy to have you here, and thank you for coming, and I would like to invite you for a welcome word. Please.
Thank you, Excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure for me to address here you today on behalf of the chair of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, Ambassador Benno Baettig of Switzerland. Opening this important conference is one of the first tasks the Swiss chairmanship has the honor to preside over. I would like to begin by thanking the director of the Vilna Gaon Jewish Museum, Mr. Markas Zingeris, for generously providing the venue for today's international conference and for his support in arranging the event. The IHRA is also extremely grateful to Camilla Rupeikaite, who is part of the Lithuanian delegation to the IHRA and has worked tirelessly in this conference over the last months. What IHRA experts do for this organization, they do on their own time, out of conviction and dedication. For this, we are truly grateful. Supporting Camilla is the IHRA Steering Committee on Killing Sites, which is composed of colleagues from Poland, Germany, Israel, and Romania. Dr. Piotr Trojansky, a member of the steering committee, will address you shortly. I would like to thank him and the committee's members who attend the conference. Dr. Thomas Lutz, Dr. David Silberklang, Dr. Adrian Czofjanka, and of course, Dr. Juliane Wetzel, who cannot join us today. The composition of the steering committee demonstrates exactly what makes the IHRA so unique. It is an international network of experts working to strengthen and advance Holocaust research, remembrance, and education worldwide. Before we begin, I would like to share with you some historical considerations. Firstly, let us reflect on the pogroms in the former Russian Empire and the mass killings that followed Operation Barbarossa in June 1941. The pogroms that spread from 1880s on in numerous cities of the then Russian Empire and caused many Jews to emigrate to Palestine and to countries of Western Europe remained in our memories as a vivid example of hatred and violence against Jews. Even if we should be conscious not to reduce historical events to figures, let us consider the numbers of victims of these pogroms compared to the victims of the 1941 mass killings. On any given day of the second half of 1941, I quote here Timothy Snyder, the Germans shot more Jews that had been killed by pogroms in the entire history of the Russian Empire. End of quote. On any given day. These words remind us of the tremendous scale of the horror this conference is dealing with. Unfortunately, those who could and still can testify about these horrors are few. As IHRA Delegate Karel Berkov accurately pointed out in the first book published by IHRA, entitled Killing Sites, Research and Remembrance, I quote, whereas survivors of the well-known death camps and their descendants have voiced their views and concerns about the proper ways to commemorate the genocide, in the case of the killing sites, these voices were virtually absent. There were few survivors, and those who did raise the issue often live in societies disapproving of public debate about private questions. End of quote. It is my hope that this conference will contribute within and outside of the IHRA community to broadening the perspective of the Holocaust from one which is centered on the concentration camp. We must remember that the majority of the Jews killed in the Holocaust never saw a concentration camp. The mass killings of summer-fall 1941 were part of an overall strategy of Nazi Germany at that time, concretely of the Einsatzgruppen and security police forces, to murder everyone defined as an enemy of the Reich, the Jews, but also Roma and Sinti, Soviet partisan, and others. As a historian, I am especially sensitive to the importance of going beyond memory, of integrating that memory in its historical context. This implies that we must reconstruct the history of the mass killings and eventually find appropriate ways of transmitting both the history and the memory. To put it briefly, we must ensure a dignified commemoration of the victims, as well as the study of the Holocaust in all its dimensions. IHRA's unique value lies in the combination of various fields of expertise: historians, educators, directors of memorials and museums, with governmental representatives. As an IHRA delegate and member of its memorial and museums working group since 2004, I can assess that historic sites, in particular killing sites, have been and still are high on the IHRA agenda. The first and the only resolution adopted to this day by IHRA urges its member countries to preserve Holocaust-related historic sites. This 2007 resolution was conceived and meant as a supplement to the Stockholm Declaration on the Holocaust, which is the founding document of IHRA. Back in 2010, the Memorial and Museum Working Groups of the IHRA, which includes representatives from all member countries, commissioned a report on mass graves and killing sites in the eastern part of Europe. The report, the first one to be commissioned by the IHRA, assessed the main challenges and obstacles in the preservation of historic sites of this nature, and provides an overview of the political and historical background of the field and the research yet to be carried out on the international, national, and local levels. Several concrete measures have been undertaken by the IHRA since then. In 2012, the IHRA adopted the International Memorial Museums Charter, which is a set of guidelines dealing with ethics and the main concerns of memorial museum for the victims of the Holocaust. Last year, an addendum was added with a clear focus on protecting and preserving sites, urging IHRA member countries to define clear responsibilities for sites, include victim association in design, and provide adequate on-site information. Recognizing the importance of this topic, the IHRA then commissioned a steering committee to focus on this issue in 2012. This committee organized a major international conference on the killing sites in 2014 in Krakow. Its proceedings were gathered in the first book published by IHRA, copies of which you will find here. In this context, two key benchmarks of IHRA's approach to killing sites were defined. IHRA should not and cannot become an other of the many active parties marking and preserving sites. Second, IHRA's goal is to stimulate and bring together those organizations and individuals involved in identification, marking, and commemoration, so that they may cooperate better on international level. Today, I am very grateful to open a second IHRA conference on this essential topic. Its time frame is narrower, but the overall approach remains the same, and it's quite fascinating. It brings together experts from various countries and backgrounds, as with different fields of expertise. Together, they will guide us today and tomorrow on issues related to identifying, marking, and remembering sites of mass killings. I wish once again to thank the organizers of this international conference, particularly Camille Rupeikaite, for this very interesting program, and wish you all fruitful discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Visa, for this really profound overview of IHRA's work on the killing sites. And the steering committee was also introduced by you. So I would like to invite Dr. Petr Trojanski, who is chair at interim of the steering committee of multi-level plan on killing sites. Please.
Thank you very much, Camila. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Steering Committee on Killing Sites, I would like to welcome you at the second IHRA International Conference on Killing Sites and express my gratitude to the director of the museum, Markas Zingeris, for hosting this event. Especially, I would like to thank our colleague Camille Rupeikaite, who was responsible for coordination, the organization of this event, and her colleague from the museum. And I would like to once more mention my colleague from the steering committees. Without their support, it would be not possible to meet here, especially Dr. Juliana Wetzel, who unfortunately is not able to attend this conference, but she is sending her best regards and greeting to us. Dr. David Silberkrank, the chair of the academic working group, and Camille, who is actually the chair of the Memorial and Museum Working Group, and also Dr. Thomas Lutz and Adrian Cioflanka, the representative of Germany and Romania to the IHRA. Taking this opportunity, I would like to say a few words about the IHRA's projects on killing sites, its background, and the activities that we have undertaken within the framework of this project. Ambassador Wisard already mentioned about a few of them, but let me, highlight it, the most important according to me. As Ambassador Wisard mentioned, the IHRA is the intergovernmental body whose purpose is to place political and social leaders' support behind the need for Holocaust education, remembrance, and research, both nationally and internationally. Remembrance on the Holocaust, however, often focuses on those who have suffered and perished in the concentration camps, ghettos, and death marches. But the killing sites, places where mass shooting took place, are still relatively unknown. The victims were killed by a variety of mobile and stationary killing units. It is estimated that between 25 and 30% of the victims of the Holocaust were murdered by mass shooting. The vast majority of these killing sites were deliberately left unmarked by the perpetrators, and many have yet be located. And fortunately, for already several years now, various institutions and initiatives have been begun in recent years to research and mark the sites, and you are the representative of those organizations. Due to the often vast dimension of mass graves and huge numbers of killing sites that are still undiscovered or no longer locatable, these attempts can only form the basis for current and future activities. They emphasize the need for future research and reveal the present lack of scholarly work combined with transnational approaches which should be stimulated. Yet international cooperation and networking on broader scale is virtually non-existing. Recognizing this importance, the IHRA launched the multi-year work plan on killing sites in 2011. And the conference that we attended today is one of the activities undertaken since that time. And so the multi-year work plan on killing sites is dedicated to research, commemoration, and preservation of places where mass shooting took place. It aims to raise public awareness of this centrally important aspect of the Holocaust and to facilitate bringing together the organizations and individuals dealing with the subject across the world. By various activities, we would like to encourage educational efforts by providing learning tools and a common ground to discuss and adjust existing material for regional purposes. The multi-year work plan on killing sites is offering insights on different approaches to explore, study, and preserve the killing sites. It intends to serve as a neutral platform for networking, offer support and expertise to local initiatives, and encourage further research. So the kind of inspiration for our work was the report by Dr. Tal Bratman that Ambassador Wisard mentioned, but the milestones was the IHRA Expert International Conference in Krakow in January 2014. It gathered the experts from all over the world, and we tried to find a common ground for international cooperation. And as a result of this conference is the book that you are welcome to take with you. The hard copy of the book is here. And of course, there is an online version on the IHRA's website. The other project that we did was the database of the organizations and individuals working in the field, and the website is available on the IHRA's website as well. The current Vilnius conference is the follow-up of the Krakow one, entitled As Mass Murder Began, Identifying and Remembering the Killing Sites of Summer-Fall 1941. It addresses several subjects and emphasizes a workshop framework, in contrary to the Krakow one, where mostly was a kind of general, the discussions. Its aim is providing a forum in which those active in the field in dealing with mass killing sites in Europe have an opportunity to exchange views and share issues, problems, solutions, and practices. The geographical focus, as you notice, is the Baltic states, Belarus, Ukraine, and Romania, and that's why we are here in Vilnius. And the thematic focus is on the three central themes on both national and local levels, which is the identification, marking, and commemoration. Within these themes, the workshop will discuss finding and identifying killing sites, research archives, interviews, database, preservation, legal and religious issues, solutions, remembrance, and education. In closing, I would like to thank all of you for accepting our invitation to the conference, and hope you will enjoy the time spent in this beautiful city, Vilnius, and return home with many new ideas and reflections on the topic that we all are dealing across Europe. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Trojansky. A vast number of killing sites around Lithuania testifies the immeasurable tragedy of losing nearly whole Jewish community of the country. Documentation, identification, and marking of these places is still an ongoing complex process. Vilna Gaon State Jewish Museum, Lithuanian Jewish community, and local municipalities, with support of the Supreme Council, have cooperated closely since 1989 in localizing killing sites, in cleaning territories, in changing memorial inscriptions, in building new memorials. And now I would like to give the floor to the chairwoman of Lithuanian Jewish community, Ms. Faina Kuklansky.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, actually I was not preparing to give the speech, and just a few words to congratulate you. As Camilla told, yes, we are very much involved in protecting heritage and taking care about mass killing sites, cemeteries, and it would be just impossible to do anything without the support of Heritage Department, which is really very active. And I think that perhaps you have scientific issues, new research on the killing site, but generally all the sites are marked, and if we get any information that there are any more sites than they are marked, we are also trying to do our best to mark it. I can responsibly say that I think there are no places in Lithuania which the mass graves and even sites where one or two people were killed which wouldn't be marked. But it is not really that what I had to tell you. First of all, best regards from the Jewish community, and we are very happy that the Jewish State Museum invited such prominent researchers to this conference. We congratulate everybody, and we support the idea and collaboration with IHRA and representation of IHRA. It is very nice to see here so famous researchers whom we know for many years, and they take part in our conferences as well. Even our Rebbe will represent and give speech in the conference. So we are very happy, and thank you, Ambassador, thank you, delegation from Switzerland. Just want to say, we are not researchers, we are just Jews. And there are about 5,000 people in all the Lithuania. And I can assure you that education and remembrance of the Holocaust is issue number one for each Jew who is living here in Lithuania. everybody has his own story. And on our opinion, the education and remembrance, which is always used from the beginning of independence and all the programs, the same as the fight against the criminal faults. It's the same everywhere, and everybody use the expression that we have to take care about Holocaust education and remembrance. And I think that we have achieved a lot. I can't say that the state did not achieve anything. It's really a lot what done. But we, the Jewish community of Lithuania, is sure that it is not for Jews, not only for Jews. It's more for non-Jewish people. It's more for the society. It's more for the people who has been involved, even their parents were not victims of Holocaust. And you know, even for me, I consider myself as an educated person who knows something about Holocaust and about the wartime. But then I'm looking, for example, then somebody is sharing what did they do during the war. And they are not Jews, they are Lithuanians. And I can see from the memories that they were studying in the schools, they were going to the movies, they were going to the theaters. So these people, their children, they can't understand in which conditions were all this time Jews. There were no one legal Jew on this land. And we can't talk about schools, about theaters, about cinemas. We can't talk about the life. And for me personally, it's very important. We know that, Jews, but I want that to know other people and to feel it and to understand it. And only then they'll be in their knowledges and feelings equal with us Jews. And the border offense between Lithuanians and Jews would be crashed. So I think that your conference is very important, and I hope very much that you'll achieve the aim which you are looking for. As well, I would like very much those who are able to invite to visit our Jewish community. I'm living, Jewish community is different. We are not state organization, we are just Jews who are organized in the community. So we would be very happy if you would, all the addresses, all the telephones you can get from the museum, because we are in very close collaboration. But also I leave here my visit cards, and if you can call, and you would be a very dear guest in our Jewish community. So thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kuklanski. And our final speaker of the opening panel is a signatory of the Act of Independence of Lithuania, member of Parliament and chairman of International Commission, and the founder of this museum, Zingeris. Welcome.
Dear members of the steering committee, historians who helped us make the starting move for reconciliation, Deputy Minister, Ambassador, ambassadors. I see the best people from mature Lithuanian society, or the mature level of Lithuanian society. That will be better to stress about that. So just coming, you know, you can imagine 27 years ago we started to build a museum, and we found in 1808 the archives of museum. In archives of this museum, it was in the special archives, in the special unit with inscription classified. It was the first steps to build the Jewish life after Second World War, after ghetto, after everything, after dispersion of Jewish people and dispersion of our memory in the country where we have one of the biggest percentage of the killed Jewish population in Europe. So the names of Sutskever, if you know the Nuremberg process, is the main guy who gave evidences in the name of Kaczerginsky, main Yiddish poet. That was the guys who tried in 44, 45 to recreate the museum. In 49 they were closed by NKVD and best Yiddish actor Michaels were killed here in Minsk in neighborhood. And dispersion, after Holocaust, dispersion of Jewish life and Jewish knowledge about Jewish people were main item for until the Wende time, Wendezeit, until the 1990. So we here in Eastern Europe trying to recreate, to go out from dispersion, out from former censorship, and to bring back the puzzles with your support, bring back puzzles about the memory of annihilated people. The killing sites are motivated extremely and very important. Why? Well, it's related to the main tragedy of the Jewish people after killing is destruction of their memory. Killing sites related to the fact that the people were killed in this place, and you don't need too many artifacts. If artifacts were forcefully dispersed from the country, you have artifacts, motivation in the place. So killing places in Europe are subject of the memory. Well, the story of every killing place should be told to everyone. That is the major power behind every killing place. So when the Ponar was switched and shifted to museum of Markas, Zingeris and Camilla, it was extremely important gesture. The main killing field of Lithuania now is a possession of Jewish Museum of Vilna. So how we will be capable to reconstruct the main killing place and to bring hundreds of thousands of Lithuanian kids and renew education about neighbors and bring back the time and make this gap to the time shorter. So bringing your knowledge to our people and making them alive, like it was done actually in Molete, when through Facebook's people came, finally 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people in August came to see the killing site, and they saw that 5,000 Lithuanians are more or less the same number of 5,000 killed Jews in Molete. That was last action, simply done by Facebook. So that means your sources will be connected to the people minds and the people changes in the people minds. And last, I would like to extend not only wishes from my parliament, who has spent last 24 years, but from my mother and Markas' mother. She facing fact that she will be 95-year-old, and she spent almost 4 years in concentration camp Stulov, in Kovnaget, after that in Stulov. And she's telling to everyone, and to me, and to Markas, and to everyone, that every day of my life is an answer to Adolf Hitler. Thank you very much.